Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Legion of Superheroes in the 31st Century, issue number 15. Now, as you know, Legion of Superheroes had a TV series that ran for 2 seasons. There was a 3rd season planned that didn't get off the ground, and also had a comic book tie-in. And the story is pretty much meant to cover Impulse, who is known as Bart Allen. Now, if you have watched basically Young Justice, you know who Bart Allen is. He's basically meant to be Barry Allen's grandson from the future, and was also known as Impulse at first, eventually became Kid Flash, and eventually became the Flash, until being killed by the Rogues, until coming back and became Kid Flash again. And the cover has him racing with the Legion of Superheroes being thrown away. And the story starts off how Bouncing Boy and Duplicate Girl are going on a date to a virtual reality center, and they're the first ones to test it out. They basically get on the gear and pretty much find themselves in a different set of levels, which they go, cool! And Bouncy Boy saying, it's so real, the sights, the sounds, the smells. And so eventually they manage to pass through the simulation until eventually the system turns off and find themselves in Keystone City in the 21st century. And we kind of see how Bart Allen speeds through saying, hey dude, I won't hit ya, but I do want to know why you're erasing my world. And so they point out that they just got here, and eventually after settling their differences, they decide to work together to figure out what's going on. And we also see Bart pointing out that this is Keystone City, and that he's here because he has to control his powers. And we kind of see him offering them hot dogs and ice cream, and eventually we understand why Bart Allen is a bit more fixated on keeping this virtual reality safe, as he's got more used to it. Until we hear a cry for help. We see how Bart Allen, Bouncing Boy, and Duplicate Girl see that one of the buildings is raised, with one of the guys saying, I did. And so that he went to work and heard news reports about what happened. And of course, went to see if what was happened to his workplace, which is now gone. And Duplicate Girl says, we'll find them. So of course Duplicate Girl decides to scout around, and afterwards we see her saying, I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Oh no. Of course we see how Bart Allen talks about like everything that's happened, and how he got like all the speed and that. And we kind of see how Duplicate Girl explains to Bouncing Boy that she found out what's happened, and they go to investigate. They find out that another building's gone, but of course decide to get Brainiac 5 to help. And we kind of see how they point out about Keystone City and everything going on. So Brainiac 5 goes to investigate, which he sees that it's Bart Allen who's meant to be Impulse, and is pleased to meet him. So he's figured out what's happened near the courthouse, and they go to investigate. Pretty much they head to Town Hall, where they meet Throck, who is meant to be a member of Emerald Empress's group, and basically plans to alter the virtual reality systems and everything else. So we see how he summons up a giant army of Metallo-like creatures, which Bouncing Girl and Duplicate Girl take on. We see how they both take them out single-handedly. We see how Bart Allen is asked by Brainiac 5 to go in and help deal with the bigger threats, where he hacks into the system. We see how Brainiac 5 manages to shut everything down, restoring everything back to normal. And Brainiac 5 points out that there was a link from the 21st century tech that crossed over with the future one, and explaining how Bart Allen got here. And we see how Bouncy Boy Girl do offer him to join the team, but knows his place is here, and that he still needs control of his powers, and leaves. So they pretty much say that it was pretty much an honor to meet someone from the past, and decide that it wasn't a bad date. And yeah, this is the story. So the story is not too bad. I kind of felt you could have had it that Barry Allen's children show up to meet Impulse and kind of learn that eventually they would basically Barry's son learning he'll have a kid in the future. And you do see them in some of the episodes, and there were ways they could have worked around it. So I think the story is still alright. So I think it deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.